Welcome to my video review of Kaprun area ski resort in Austria. In January 2020, a group of friends and I who came in from Kabul, Afghanistan and Nairobi, Kenya, gathered together in Vienna and drove to Kaprun to socialize, play some board games, cook together, eat together, drink together, and of course to ski at Kaprun and some of the neighboring resorts. Why did we choose this area? Well, it's only a 4.5 hour drive from Vienna, an hour or so from Salzburg and Innsbruck, and has all the variety of terrain and of nightlife and other activities as one could desire. Especially attractive about Kaprun itself that you see here is the high altitude glacier, which means that even in January 2020, when the snow wasn't so great overall, there wasn't that much of a snowpack, we could still guarantee some pretty decent conditions up on top on the glacier. As you can see, there's always the snow park available as well, so there's lots of different fun, exciting things to do for skiers and snowboarders alike. Kaprun is 3,030 meters high, and the nearby ski circus Saalbach Hinterglemm Leogang Febrebrunn is a little less high, but has a giant 270 kilometers of trails available, while also the Zellemzee ski hill is a little bit smaller and more family friendly, but the three of them combined comes to over 400 kilometers square of ski terrain, as well as over 100 lifts. Most of the runs, these resorts, like most in Austria, are of the green or blue variety, but at Kaprun especially, but also at, say, Saalbach Hinterglemm, there are some pretty decent black runs for the experts out there. Interestingly, in Austria compared to North America, where I'm from, off-piste is just a suggestion, and some of the best skiing is just off the ski runs themselves, though do make sure you have some avalanche knowledge, as these places are not always properly tested or cared for. All Austrian ski resorts have a variety of activities that you can partake in. Here, I'm skijoring with my dog Romeo, but there's always tens of kilometers of great cross-country trails in the valleys, as well as spas. There's a big one in Kaprun, for instance. There's great nightlife, including just the après-ski directly at the bottom of the hill, but also into the evenings. There's fantastic cuisine and a good variety in all the major ski resorts. There's always hiking, especially in the valley bottoms, that might be green even in the midst of winter, or hiking on snow. There'll be always some trails open for those who don't ski and still want to get some physical activity. And of course, being in the heart of Europe, there's always some interesting culture in a castle or two within a few kilometers, pretty much anywhere in Austria. Compared to North America, the eating is definitely way better. It's not one of these giant cafeterias at the bottom of the ski hill that for a couple of bucks you get some, lukewarm pointed pizza that's microwaved or some greasy burger with the flavor squeezed out. But instead you get real Austrian cuisine right on the ski hill itself, though it's a bit harder to maybe bring your own food. There's not as many places where you can bring your own sandwiches or whatever, but considering the ski lift tickets are much cheaper than back in North America, you can afford the extra few bucks for some really hot, tasty grub between your descents. Also compared to North America, the villages are built right at the base of the ski hill. At Saalbach Hinterglemm, as you can see here, it was actually a bit annoying because we had to walk through the village to link some of the runs. But usually these are more thought out and well planned. And the public transport anywhere in Austria is phenomenal, especially at the ski hills, where if you don't find another ski lift, there's usually a bus within a few minutes that will take you to your next destination. These are often included in your ski tickets. If not, they're just €1 or two to go to the next village down the road. Kaprun and many of the ski resorts in Austria are easily reached by public transport, by train. And I highly recommend that you partake in utilizing the public transport options as opposed to renting a car, because these are seldom actually necessary for most accommodation available near any ski hills. And so we'll just stay parked most of the time. Snow isn't as thick as West Coast of North America, but as you can see, there's still some good snow conditions and some pretty steep runs available for those of you that are into that kind of thing. Style is obviously quite different considering most people on the hill are skiers. There's not like the 50-50 split of snowboarders as there are at some other hills out west. And people are really into skiing a very tight style. So you'll see one Austrian skier after another stick to the run and ski perfect lines, tight turns, squared shoulders, poles planted, and less people just having a romp in the snow like I do when I'm on my snowboard. The lifts are beyond pale. They're way more modern. And as you can see here, the nightlife is pretty fun. Kaprun has a special attraction in store, and that is that you can walk through the middle of the mountain peak at the top. It takes a good 10 minutes to get all the way through the two tunnels, and you come out the other side. This is some of the most beautiful views in all of Austria as you're at the highest point of the province of Salzburg. And this is obviously a fun distraction, especially for families with kids, if you want to take a break from the skiing and see something a bit different. The view overlooks the Großglockner National Park and tallest peak in Austria. The conditions we had over the week we were there in early January were sun almost the entire time. It was beautiful bluebird skies. And this is the kind of thing that you can expect most of the winter during your skiing in Austria, except for, of course, when it's snowing. The terrain at Kaprun, as you've seen in the video, does include some pretty decent expert terrain. And all the hills, though, have a combination of plenty of easier slopes so that you can go with the whole family or different levels and each person find the thing that they're into. The last really cool thing, other activity that we have in this region is rodeling, which is basically tobogganing with these old school style toboggans with metal runners. And it is really fast and super fun. I encourage everybody to give it a try. We went to the nearby Wildkogel, as they have Austria's longest run for rodeling at 14 kilometers. And you can just turn up, rent the toboggan at the bottom of the ski hill, and no lessons required as you kind of figure it out as you go. In terms of rentals, these are pretty easy to come by in Austria. There's always a number of rental shops in the town or at the base of the ski hill. It's easier just to rent something for a full week and have it with you throughout your vacation. You can probably find some good deals if you book ahead of time online. And I definitely recommend booking ahead of time when it comes to ski lessons, especially if you want group lessons, as you can't book these always last minute. One of us tried. And for your accommodation. Austrian ski resorts sell out on some of the prime choices quite early. So utilize VRBO as opposed to Airbnb as it's more popular, or any of your booking sites for hotels or hostels as early as you can if you want to hit some of the better places available, or hope that somebody's canceled something a bit last minute. I did talk a bit about cuisine, but I do want to emphasize that Austrian beer is plentiful and fresh and available everywhere, including at the ski hill, and that there's a bit more than just schnitzel and potatoes, even though the Austrian food is heavy on the potato and meat. There's also really tasty Tafelspitz available, which surprisingly is boiled beef served with pureed spinach and potatoes and horseradish applesauce, yet is actually really tasty. Spätzle, my favorite, especially when served on the slopes of the ski hill. A big heaping plate full of all kinds of gooey cheese, noodles, and bacon or other types of meat and onions in there. Really good. Desserts, awesome. Strudel cakes are not too sweet. They have knödel available. And of course, there's always lots of Glühwein, beer, and Skivasser to refresh you when you need it. Enjoy your ski vacation, and I encourage you to give Kaprun a try this winter.